It's the 25th of March, 2021, a beautiful Thursday morning right here. My name is Esther Kalu, and I'm bringing the newspaper review to you this morning. On the newspaper review, we look at topics that have made headlines on various papers in Nigeria, in Africa, and across the world. To the top of the Punch newspaper this morning. On the Punch newspaper, you would see Governor of Benue State, Samuel Ortom, with the attempted assassination that occurred over the weekend. And here is standing with the Inspector General of Police this morning. And here we have it, that Ortom petitions IGP over assassination attempt. And just by the side, Adamu assigns probe. And that is the Inspector General of Police by his side. Still on the Punch newspaper here, some IMO workers earn salary pensions at the same some IMO workers earn salary and pension at the same time. This is coming from Uzodinma on the Punch newspaper. Reps probe MDAs over 526 billion naira and $21 billion revenue leakages and others. Matawale pleads with federal government to hold talks with bandits. Buhari Tinubu reported rifts, handiwork of mischief makers. This is coming from the presidency. Hijab, not about religious discrimination. And something else here underneath that story here. Lautech undergraduates jailed over $104,500 scam. That's a lot, but let's move. JAMB plans June 5th for exams. Begins registration, makes NIN mandatory. We'll look into that when we're joined by our analyst. Tell your kinsmen to stop mindless killings. PFN tells President Buhari. Kaduna students clock 2 weeks in kidnappers' den. Parents panic. Sex offenders convicted, 160 under prosecution. That's in Edo State, Nigeria. Petrol imports gulped 2.11 trillion naira in 2020, says NBS. And the last on the Punch, refineries, reps probe 1.5 billion planned rehabilitation past repairs. That's on the top of the Punch newspaper this morning. Now we'll go into some of the stories proper. The first story we'll be taking here this morning is Ortom petitions IGP over assassination attempts. Adamu assigns probe. Taking the story here, the Benue State Governor Samuel Ortom on Wednesday formally presented to the Inspector General of Police, Mohammed Adamu, a petition on Saturday's assassination attempt on him. Newsmen learns that the governor presented a petition to the police boss at an early morning meeting the two of them had in Abuja. Recall that Ortom and his aides were attacked on Saturday on his way to his farm along Makurdi-Gboko Road. The governor, while narrating his ordeal during a Thanksgiving service on Sunday, said he ran over 1 kilometer to escape the assassination, and that is coming from the lips of the governor of Benue State. More of that story on the Punch newspaper. We'll move away from that very quickly now to something going on in the House of Representatives. And this morning, we have it on the news that reps probe MDAs over 526 billion naira and $21 billion revenue leakages and others. I'll take the story. The House of Representatives has resolved to investigate ministries, departments and agencies of the federal government over various unremitted revenue and leakages detected by the Officer of the Auditor General for the Federation. A member of the House, Abdullahi Abdul Kadir, moved on a motion on Wednesday to pray the lawmakers to mandate the Committee on Public Accounts, of which he is the deputy chairman, to investigate the allegations. The motion was titled, Need to investigate the report of the Auditor General for the Federation on the accounting and financial infractions of government and internal organizations. When we are joined by our analyst, this is also one of the main topics we are going to be looking at to find out how this is going to turn out in the course of the event. Let's move away from that story. Still on the Punch newspaper here this morning, now we have Matawale pleading with federal government to hold talks with bandits. And I'll take the story very quickly. Governor Bello Matawale of Zamfara State has called on the President, Muhammadu Buhari, to come out with a comprehensive plan of action to sustain peace and dialogue initiated in Zamfara towards addressing armed banditry, and other criminalities. The governor made the call when he received a delegation from the federal government, led by the Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice Abubakar Malami, which paid him a visit to the state over Sunday's fire incident at the Tundun Wada Market, Gusau. According to Matawale, all conflicts that have ethnic dimension can best be resolved through dialogue. That's coming from Governor of Zamfara State, Bello Matawale. Away from that now, something in the educational sector, if you're watching, especially in Nigeria, I'd like to ask about your national identification number and the process of registration. We've had report here on impact television going out to talk to people about how their registration process went, and we had that report on the news. But for today, there is something in the news coming from the Joint Admissions Matriculation Board asking that national identification numbers become part of the registration process for students seeking admission into tertiary institutions. So if you're watching in Nigeria and you have this experience even as a student who is planning to write this exam, you can leave us a message on any of our social media platforms at High Impact TV and High Impact TV UK. For now, I'll take the main story here. The Joint Admission and Matriculations Board on Wednesday announced the commencement of registration for the 2021 Unified Tertiary Matriculation Examination and Direct Entry. The organization, however, said for any person to be registered for the UTME/DE, such candidates must supply their national identity number. The head Public Affairs and Protocol JAMB, Dr. Fabian Benjamin, made the announcement in a statement in Abuja. Many students and people who are planning to apply for this exam are looking out for more of this information, especially those who have not gotten their numbers at this point. And we're going to also have that conversation when we are joined by our analysts. But away from the Punch newspaper this morning, let's move very quickly to the Guardian newspaper. On the top of the Guardian newspaper this morning, still a story from the House of Representatives here on the top here. Reps probe NNPC over alleged $25 billion spent on refineries. Just down there, we have why Nigeria gets decimal global rating by Mohammed. National economy to slowly recover from COVID-19, says BOI. Sanwo-Olu pledges decent, affordable houses. Slow vaccine rollout raises fear of COVID-19 third wave. AFDB assessment team visits Ogun State to inspect special project zone. How Nigeria wastes unjustified wealth on UK education. $25 billion allegedly spent by the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation, NNPC, on turnaround maintenance of refineries. The decision was sequel to adoption of a motion initiated by Mr. Onofiok Akpan Luke during plenary presided over by Speaker Femi Gbajabiamila. In effect, the House mandated its Committee on Petroleum Resources Downstream to carry out an investigative hearing and conduct a comprehensive audit of funds previously spent on rehabilitation, repairs, and maintenance of the Port Harcourt refinery and others in the country. Now, the story about refineries in Nigeria and even from the NNPC has been ongoing for a while, and this is just another one we have in the news today. But even as we get updates, we'll definitely bring it to you right here on the newspaper review and on the news around the globe. Away from that, but still, Vanguard newspaper. On the Vanguard newspaper this morning, we have some stories here quite touching. The first one here says, bloodbath in Abia, 16 killed as troops and police and ESN clash. This is on the Vanguard newspaper. Rather than receiving recycled politicians, focus on insecurity, Fayose tells President Buhari, still on the Vanguard. 2023, Buhari's exit will not affect APC chances of victory. Professor Maman said that. Why Nigeria's rating by Transparency International is newspaper. On the Vanguard newspaper this morning, we have some stories here quite touching. The first one here says, bloodbath in Abia, 16 killed as troops and police and ESN clash. This is on the Vanguard newspaper. Rather than receiving recycled politicians, focus on insecurity, Fayose tells President Buhari, still on the Vanguard. 2023, Buhari's exit will not affect APC chances of victory. Professor Maman said that. Why Nigeria's rating by Transparency International is low. This is from the federal government. You can get more details on the Vanguard. AstraZeneca says vaccine 76% effective in updated US trial data. Iceland approves AstraZeneca jab for seniors. European Union tightening rules on coronavirus vaccine exports. How Buhari administration's ESP helped Nigeria tackle COVID-19 challenges. This is coming from Oshibanjo, the vice president. AstraZeneca may have used outdated information in trial, U.S. health officials alleged. COVID-19, 122,410 eligible Nigerians vaccinated. That is coming from the NPHCDA. Still on the Vanguard newspaper here, oral health. NDA calls for establishment of dental clinics in Osun local government areas. Header farmers' conflict, embracing the Ganduje Abonu solution. Shippers Council tax ban on standard barges. North Korea launches suspected ballistic missiles. NPA hands over shipyard to Nimasa for floating dock. Task force drags 10 to court over assault on Kaduna electric staff. Nigerians' worsening crisis. Is President Buhari clueless or just unlucky? That's on the Vanguard newspaper. Rivers approves 27.6 billion naira for Trans-Kalabari Sapenwa Bori-Kono roads. Nigeria's poor universal health coverage. Governor Abiodun pays 500 million gratuity to Ogun retirees, and stakeholders recommend solutions to assist federal government curb Ebonyi Cross River boundary disputes. Now let's move to the bandits. The story about banditry here, still on the Vanguard newspaper. I will take that very quickly before we are being joined by our analyst. The story here says bandits are displaced herdsmen. This is coming from Mieti Allah, and I'll take that. The rider starts with Nigeria falling apart. NEF, Afenifere, MBF, Pandef tell federal government. Wake up to your responsibility. That's coming from the NEF spokesman. Federal government should do the needful, Afenifere is saying theirs. Present governments may midwife disintegration of Nigeria. This is coming from the Middle Belt Forum. Let's work together to end reign of terror. Pandef made that statement. Blame governors for rising banditry. Mieti Allah responded. I'll take the story. One of the umbrella bodies of herdsmen in Nigeria, Mieti Allah Kwatal, said yesterday that herders are facing many challenges from hostile host communities, including vigilante groups and other criminal elements who rustle crowds in the country. This came as popular Islamic scholar Hamad Gumi insisted yesterday that bandits be granted amnesty. According to him, the bandits will not let go of their arms if they are not assured of their safety and rehabilitation. That's as much as I can take on that story on the Vanguard newspaper. And we would continue with the newspaper review and to be joined by our analyst. On the top of the Star newspaper this morning, we have Ruto. I can still work with Raila ahead of 2022 elections. That's on the Star newspaper this morning. And just on the riders there, DP says he's ready, willing to work with all like-minded politicians who share his dream. And away from that, on the Star newspaper, we have our analyst this morning. Before we continue with the Star newspaper this morning, he has joined us via phone call, a public affairs analyst. Good morning, Mr. Sheson.
Good morning, Esther. It's a pleasure to be here this morning.
Glad to have you on the review this morning. I'd like to ask, first of all, about the financial aspects on the newspaper review this morning. So the House of Representatives are planning to start an investigation into ministries and departments concerning some funds that needs to be accounted for. And that's on the top of the Vanguard, on the Punch newspaper this morning, rather. And I'd like to ask you, I'll take it the way it is here. Reps probe MDAs over 526 billion naira and 21 billion revenue leakages and others. If this investigation is carried out, what do you think? What do you expect from it at the end of the day?
Yeah, my perception today is that financial person is that we should not wait until some of these things are committed before we react to them. Looking at it that they want to carry out investigation of some of these things, there might be some things that you might not be able to see. And going on the aspect that those that we have done in time past, that EFCC, how many of them have we been able to punish in such a way that we serve as deterrent to others? Our law enforcement agencies are really not working to play to some of these things. So you discover that the level of wastage that we have been experiencing is what is impoverishing our people and the greed nature. But we want the situation if government venture into this and some of those things are put in place. Those that are perpetrated it should be dealt with so that will serve as deterrent even to others to perpetrate.
All right. Aside from that, now still on the newspaper this morning, now on the Guardian, I'm having here that reps probe NNPC over alleged $25 billion spent on refineries. Talking about our refineries now and the amounts that has been spent on it so far, what do you perceive in this situation?
Yeah, the problem with the refinery, we have said it that most of the time we discover that they keep telling us the amount of money that is being invested in the project, which nobody can account or decide when those things are actually done. So our problem is not having some of these things. We read about the approval of $1.5 billion for the repair of a Port Harcourt refinery. The one we've done before, we heard that this thing has not been able to produce. We have asked the question, what does it cost to build a new refinery? Niger, as a nation that is very small compared to us, is able to develop a refinery of about 20,000 metric tons to be produced. But where are we as a nation? So we discovered that the political will of our leaders to do the right thing is actually a problem. We have spoken about modular refinery until we have the sincerity of our leaders doing the right thing. We are not going anywhere. Investing such money into the repair of moribund refinery will not take us anywhere. But we can use that same money to initiate the move and we'll get to where we are going. We need to start the journey, not just going and repairing things that are not productive to us. It's just mere waste of resources, mere waste of human capital, mere waste of time, and it's not taking us anywhere. So we intend that the government should look critically into this by investing into setting up all these small modular refinery for them to be able to have a way out, and the people, the citizens, will be better for it.
Okay, have you considered public-private partnership? Let's look at NEPA, PHCN, and the transition we've had over and over in the electricity aspect of Nigeria. If we put that into our refineries, do you see it making any change at all?
Yeah, it will make a lot of changes, even though the one in the power sector is not working because the government is not willingly, given the freedom for any private sector that is partnering with them to do what is needful. Look at what we have in the power sector. The next step of, regulate the cost of meter, the type of meter, they still invest and say they are subsidizing them. You see, private-public partnership will work if you give the private sector, because so many of them are doing it on their own and they are having it fine. So why is it that when it is in collaboration with the government, that's when we have issues? So we must look critically into that to make sure that we stand by some of the things that we promised them. Some of those public-private partnerships, when it commences, government default and renege on some of the agreement they have even with the private sector, which in turn affect their business and make some of them not to venture into it. So we want a situation where government will be consistent with their policy, with their ideas in what they are doing, so that the people can have confidence, that can build that trust for them to invest more into developing this nation.
You asked the question during the course of this conversation that how much would it cost to build a new refinery from the scratch? But here I'm having national economy to slowly recover from COVID-19. Is this something that can be done even in the time of this pandemic, in your own words?
Yeah, it's something that can be done because if you look at what they are going to do, just for the month of March, we've heard that about 102 billion will be used as subsidy considering the increase in the price of crude oil. If some of this money that are used for subsidy and some other things, because the cost of crude oil keeps increasing, which definitely gives us more revenue But because we are not refining the product locally, we discover that the cost of things keep going higher and higher. So if some of those money that they are going to venture into subsidy and into some of those wastages that we are having are plow into the development of refinery, we'll be better off for it. And that's why we say the political will and the sincerity on the part of the government is very key if we must achieve anything tangible.
Okay, now still hammering on economic growth here. I'm going to still maintain that the Bank of Industry has predicted that the economy would slowly recover from the adverse impact of the COVID-19 pandemic. But you and I buy things from supermarkets, from medium and small businesses. How have you seen the changes in cost and prices? Do you see the changes in costs of buying items heading towards economic growth or decline?
Yeah, definitely it's going decline. If you look at the inflation rate as we speak, it's about 15 to 16%, which is pretty high. So definitely the cost of things. And considering the insecurity in the country, majority of the consumable things are not made available to the end consumer as expected. So you discover that there are certain things government must put in place. Let there be peace all over the places so that there can be production of what we are doing. Two, let's reduce the inflation rate, because the more inflation rate increases, the more costly most of these things will be. The cost of logistics, you and I know what we buy fuel this day, and you know they have to transport these things from all the way the northern region to the southern region. Even locally, you know what those things are. So basic infrastructure must be put in place to ease the process of doing business in Nigeria so that the cost of production will be reduced and all of us will be beneficiary of the growth that it's going to be.
You mentioned security. I'll connect it with a story on the Vanguard newspaper this morning talking about security. Bandits are displaced herdsmen. This is coming from Miyetti Allah, and the riders here are quite many this morning. Nigeria falling apart, wake up to your responsibility. This is coming from various groups. But now that we are hearing that bandits are displaced herdsmen, how do you see that statement coming from Miyetti Allah?
Yeah, you see, we have said so many things, and part of the things that can aid our security is proper identification of people that reside in a local area. That's why most people are advocating for community policing. Some of the perpetrators of these issues, of these bad things, are actually staying within a locality, and we need to know one another. We need to have enumeration of people that stay there, so that when you have an intruder into your environment, you'll be able to identify them. Security is the work of everybody, not just for the government alone. Now we can see that the Miyetti Allah are complaining that the bandits are dealing with them. And people are complaining that the Miyetti Allah are the ones that are giving the farmers problems. So it's becoming a compounded problem. And as you go back to the drawing board, to have something like community policing, where the perpetrators of evils at the local level will be identified and chased out, not out of the country, because the fact that I'm saying that the people that are carrying arms are not their members, they are people that are flown in from other countries. So by the time we're able to tame it at the community level, all of them will go back to where they have come from. So we need to have community policing guiding our people at the local areas.
That's the last we can take on the Punch newspaper. And as much as we can take on the newspaper review this morning, I'd like to thank you for joining us and to thank our analysts for also joining us. We'll have more conversations even on the newspaper, our news bulletins at 3 p.m. news and at 9 p.m. news for more of the details of the stories we've had today. For now, I'm Esther Kalu. Take care.